Okay, starting with me. So as I mentioned, I am an assistant district attorney. I work for Essex County District Attorney's Office. So we have about 6 courts. We have Haverhill, Lawrence, Lynn, Salem. So I'm in the Salem office. I was in the Lynn office. So the best part of my job is that every single day it's never going to be the same. So even if you have a bad day the day before, you're never going to see the same thing the next day. So when you are an assistant district attorney, you're in charge of the entire part of a criminal proceeding. So the first step is the arraignment session, is when you're arraigned formally on charges. We also have motion sessions, which are, live testimony with officers on whether the individual's rights were violated or the Constitution was violated. We do jury trials, we do bench trials. I've done about a little over 50 trials. Another part of my job is I am the supervisor of the juvenile court. So when you're under the age of 18 in Massachusetts, you're charged in the juvenile court. So I run that court as well. It's a little bit of a different side of the law. It's a lot more guidance and trying to get these kids so we don't see them as an adult ever again in these district courts. So trying to get them the help they need. So those are kind of what you rotate through every day. You could be in arraignments one day, you could be doing a trial the next day, you could be in motion one day. So if you're not in the mood one day, it could be a great day the next day or vice versa. So that's the thing I love. Some lawyers aren't in court every day. Sometimes they're at their desk. We're always on the move. We're in court every single day. We're upstairs. We're in front of the judge. And one of the best parts about the Essex County DA's office is we really pride ourselves in that we are 80% female. In my office alone in Lynn, when I was there, we were 100% female, so 24 of us. So we are one of the highest female DA's office, which is great. We usually outnumber the guys on most occasions. There really is, I can't think of anything I hate about my job. It's what I've wanted to do my entire life. I purposely set up every intern that I did just to get to this position. It is stressful. It's high pace, almost like a softball game. I mean, every jury trial is a game almost. You have to get up there in front of 7 or 12 people that you don't know. Everyone's staring at you. And the spotlight's on you, and you have to have, what we said earlier is this superhero power in this space that I know what I'm talking about, and I'm going to convince you. So that's some of the huge takeaways. Also, we talked about anticipation. It's the same thing on a jury trial or a bench trial. You want to, what is their strategy? What am I going to do? What do I need to do to beat them? So you take a lot of sports into that consideration, which is why I love jury trials. It's really almost like a chess game. You got to outthink, out-talk, out-convince, and just, it's almost like a show that you have to put on, and you have to be brave, even if you don't want to be brave sometimes, and you're scared half the time, the first time you do it. But sports is 100% something that really, you can see who had played sports in their lives when you have to get up there and you don't want to get up there, or you're scared and you're nervous. We are thrown in these situations all the time in sports. Sometimes you don't want to be up there with 2 outs and the game's on the line, but we all learn to adapt to that, and that's something you really take into once you graduate.
Great. Thank you very much for that, Erin. When you were just talking, it brought back something about one of those research studies that I was referring to earlier. A number of the women CEOs say that when they walk into a board meeting, they can tell who played sports by their posture, which I thought was fascinating. So it made me sit up a little bit more during this panel presentation. But I thought that was fascinating, how you can read people and just get a sense of who played sports. So thank you, Erin. Melissa, how about you?
Great. So a little bit what I do on the day-to-day. I know I mentioned this, but I work for a Boston-based mortgage company. So I'll give you a little bit of background on my company, but essentially, what we do is we work to help people get a fair deal on their mortgage. I don't want to go too much into banking, but the banking industry is very outdated and archaic. So we really utilize our technology to help people save money over the lifetime of a loan. It can sound boring, but it's actually really interesting. And I'd consider myself one of the biggest mortgage nerds, and I hated finance and accounting in college. But on a day-to-day, I work with a lot of customers. I work with a direct team. So I know I had mentioned this earlier, but I've gotten to the point where I manage a team of about 9 people. So I focus on a territory, primarily in Texas and Pennsylvania, although I do a lot in the Boston area. So our quarter actually just ended yesterday, quarter 3. So it's really great to be able to work with the team and see their goals. And I really like what Erin said earlier, because you can truly see who is an athlete just based off of their competitive drive. And I love working with people to get them up to that next level, as well as continuing the hiring process as well. I think we hired about 9 people this quarter, and through the end of the year, it'll be 12. So it's really great. And I will say we do kind of look at student athletes as well, just because they do bring different types of talent. In terms of what I like and what I don't like, I think my favorite thing about the company is, one, that it's a growing company. We're for profit, but we're mission driven. We truly care about helping people at the end of the day, educating them, and just knowing that we're doing right by consumers. That's something that is really important to me. Own Up, I did work in AmeriCorps for a little bit, and I worked in low-income housing, and I swore that I would never work for profit. I thought it'd only be nonprofit, but I was able to kind of see multiple sides, and that you can actually work for a for-profit company and help people at the end of the day. I think one thing I probably dislike about my company, which is it's a good problem to have for any type of startup, but there's never as many hours in the day as there is work. There's always work to be done, and it can be tiring, but it's really great knowing that every single person I work with has the same goals in mind at the end of the day, because there's a lot of collaboration and teamwork that goes on as well.
Great. Thank you so much for that, Melissa. And Kelly, how about you?
Yeah, so currently I'm an educator. I'm a special educator. I also am a coach in district, like I said, and I'm also a student myself. I'm back in school for a second master's degree in something called transition services, which is overseeing students transition from high school to college, or the workforce, or to, apartment living, whatever it has to be with students. It could be transitioning students, from going, like, their parents are always driving them around, to them transitioning to taking public transportation. So it just depends on each individual student. I'm a teacher for students with autism. I teach a history class, a functional life skills class. I've done health classes. So I've done a wide range of things. Before becoming an educator in a public school, I worked at a residential facility for students with autism, an international school, which was very cool and very challenging. Now that I'm in a public school, I would say it's not as challenging, because I don't deal so much with student behaviors. In the residential school, I was like getting bit and hit, and that at the same time trying to educate kids. So it was a little bit different, but my day-to-day now is educating kids in a small group setting, working on, the interpersonal skills and academic skills that are really important, taking curriculum and breaking it down into tiny chunks, and really just making sure that students are set up for success and that they are able to learn in a way that helps them, and that they're able to fit into their community, just like everybody else. I really pride my students in that, of like, at least if you leave my classroom, you have dignity and respect for yourself and for others. And that's definitely something I learned being a student athlete as well. And I just think that's really important for our youth now. And I take, some of those classroom things that I do onto the field and onto the court when I'm coaching. And I have middle schoolers on my softball team, and a lot of it is just like taking criticism, respecting your elders, respecting your coaches. And when we don't show respect and we don't work hard, then here's a punishment, and, or not a punishment, but something to do to get us better. So it's like, all right, let's get on the line. Let's run a little bit. You know what I mean? So it's like pushing kids, and I love to do that. And that's how I am in my classroom. That's how I am. I guess really for my whole life, I feel like I'm constantly like working to push people to to do better. And so that's what I do, other than the day-to-day paperwork and planning lessons and the crap stuff of the job. I really enjoy the relationships that I make with students and families, and learning, you know, every day different ways to reach kids who are struggling and need a lot of help.
Great.